All right. So, like I said, we're gonna go through this, and then we're gonna stop, and we won't have homework tonight, which hardly ever happens. So that's good. All right. So these first couple of slides are gonna go pretty fast, but especially for those of you that came in late from Makeup Fast Bridge, I would really pay attention to this first part. If you're not super comfortable with what are corresponding angles, what are alternate interior, and so on, because I'll explain that again. We're gonna learn 4 theorems or postulates today that tell us special things about corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and consecutive interior angles. And every single thing I teach you today only is true if we have 2 parallel lines. If these 2 lines are not parallel, nothing I tell you today is true, okay? So you're gonna have 2 lines cut by a transversal, and if that is the case, our corresponding angles are going to be congruent. So, do you guys remember corresponding, what kind of angles they were? They were in, do you remember what we said? In what? The same position? Do you guys remember that? Okay. So, what I mean by that is angle 1 is to the left and above, and 5 is to the left and above, so they would be congruent. 2 and 6 are in the same position, so they would be congruent. 3 and 7 also, and 4 and 8 also. They're all congruent because they're corresponding angles, okay? Then when we look here, there's a rule about alternate interior angles, and again, it's only if these 2 lines are parallel, our alternate interior angles are congruent. So that means this is congruent to that. Alternate interior, alternate meant on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, and then interior meant that they both came from between or inside these 2 lines. So you picked one of 3 and 4 and one of 5 and 6, and they had to be on opposite sides of this transversal. And what this is saying is our alternate interior angles are congruent. Then if we look here, we have alternate exterior angles, and they are also congruent. Okay, so all 3 we've talked about so far have been congruent. Remember, alternate again means on opposite sides of the transversal. And then exterior means that they're outside of our 2 lines. So what I mean by that, if these are my 2 lines, the exterior ones are 1 and 2 and 7 and 8, and then they'd be on opposite sides of the transversal, and they'd be congruent. So this one is congruent to this one, as well as this one is congruent to that one, okay? So those 3 all are congruent if our 2 lines are parallel. It would be easy if all 4 of them were congruent, but that's not the case. There's one that's different. And the one that is different is our consecutive interior angles, and they are supplementary. What does supplementary mean? Remember? No. Look in the back corner, last 2 things. What does supplementary mean?
90.
Complementary is 90. Supplementary is 180. Okay? So what this is saying, consecutive means on same side of the transversal. Okay, and these are supplementary. So one of them would be like 3 and 5. They're on the same side of this transversal, and they're interior, which means they're inside of these two lines. And they're supplementary. So what that means today is they might do this. They might say, this angle is 80. What is that angle?
80.
If they're supplementary, what did we say? They add up to 180. So wouldn't this one be 100? Do you guys get that? Okay. So a way you can remember, say you're in, does anyone have their cheat sheet out by chance? No? Okay. Can you take your cheat sheet out? I think it's worth it to take it out. Yes. It looks like this. Okay. So on top it has like reflexive, symmetric, transitive, and then on the back it looks like this. Okay. So on the right underneath this table, there is a summary of what I just went over, okay? So when you have two parallel lines, corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior are congruent, alternate exterior are congruent, and consecutive interior are supplementary, which if you wanted to write, you could say add up to 180 after the supplementary. If you're in my classroom and you don't have that sheet handy, you can look at the board, and that bookshelf is a little bit in front of them. But do you guys see the second row down? Do you see how there's alternate interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding? Those three are the ones that are congruent or equal. The one that's not on that board is the one that's different, which is the one that's supplementary. So if you were ever in here and you're like, oh, which is the one that wasn't congruent, look for the one that's missing. That's the one that is supplementary. Okay? All right. So now let's go here. This is the part I just showed you. Okay? And this talks about corresponding angles being congruent, alternate interior angles are congruent, alternate exterior are congruent, and consecutive interior are supplementary. And we are ignoring this.
You don't got that.
It doesn't say that on there. Yeah. Okay, let's go here. So I'm gonna write off here what we just learned. We learned that corresponding angles are equal. We learned that alternate interior angles are equal. Alternate exterior are equal, and consecutive interior equal 180. If you want to add that to your cheat sheet, feel free to do that. So if you want to add this to your cheat sheet, feel free to do that. Okay, so what we go over here should not be very hard. What you're gonna do is look at the 120 and angle 1. They want us to find the measure of the numbered angles. So like angle 1, angle 7. Instead of putting an X, they put a number there. So what would angle 1 be if that's 120? What kind are those two? Corresponding. Do you guys get that? They're in the same position. So this one's below and to the left, below and to the left. So they're the same. So this one would also be 120. Corresponding are equal. They're in the same position. They're equal. Okay. Now, does anyone, can you tell what kind those two are?
They're on the opposite sides.
And they're exterior, right? They're outside of the two lines and they're on opposite sides. Alternate exterior are equal. So we're looking for angle 7, that would just be 130. So as long as you can tell what kind they are, then you just look at these rules and you've got it. What kind do these look like? You're close. They're interior. Consecutive.
Or I mean the A1.
Yeah, alternate interior. Because they're on opposite sides of that transversal, they are alternate interior. And up here, we have that those are equal. Very good. So this is 65. Okay. Now, if I look down at my next one, what kind are these two?
Consecutive.
Yes, they're on the same side of the transversal and they're inside. And consecutive interior, we know, are equal to 180. So my answer here would be what? If one's 130, what would the other
50.
one? 50. 180 minus 130 is 50. Very good. You don't have to show this work. I'm just doing that for my notes. Now, can we tell what those two are? Anyone?
Corresponding.
Corresponding. They're in the same position. And if they're corresponding, we know they're equal. So we just go down here. If this is 145, angle 2 is going to be 145. Then if I look at F, what kind do those look like?
Consecutive.
Yep, and consecutive interior should be equal or supplementary. Yep, so if one is 80, what would the other one be?
100.
100, very good. 180 minus 80 is 100, very good. Then, if I look at this, what kind do these look like? Very good, yeah. So here's my two lines, here's my transversal. Those are alternate exterior. And if we look at our rules, alternate exterior are equal. So if that's 42, that one's 42. Then if I look down here, what kind are those two? Alternate interior, yes. An alternate interior are going to be what? Equal. So angle 6 is 100. And remember, like, that angle 6 is just like if there was an X there. Okay? Then let's go here, and this is the same thing. It's just asking for X. So again, corresponding are equal. Alternate interior are equal. Alternate exterior are equal. And consecutive interior equal 180. Okay? So, what kind are those two?
Corresponding.
Corresponding in the same position, so X would be,
175.
actually with the corresponding, they're equal. So you would want them to be equal, so it'd be 175. If the 175 is right here, then it would be 5. Okay? Alright, now let's look here. What kind are those?
Alternate interior.
Yep, and alternate interior are equal. Very good. So equal, so this would just be 83. How about these?
Consecutive.
Yep, consecutive interior, so what do we know about them?
They equal 180.
They equal 180. So x would be 180 minus 21, which is 159, okay? All right, what kind are those? Should I call them people?
No, it's, you have on here, 180 minus 21 is 159, and 1 would be 169.
Oh,
8 minus 2 is 6.
are you talking about here? Yeah, what did I do? Sorry. No, that's right.
No, right?
That's right.
Oh, cause 1 is, never mind.
You had me convinced too there. Okay, do you guys know what kind these are? Alternate exterior, which means they are
Equal.
equal. So our x would be 96. Okay? So now, let's go here. And this is our last problem for today. Okay? All right. So this says state the postulate or theorem that justifies the statement, and it's asking us, why can we say angle 4 is congruent to angle 5? What kind are those?
Opposite. Opposite.
They're inside and they're opposite, which means they're alternate interior. Now, the book would want you to do this. They would want you to write down alternate interior angles theorem. What I'm gonna have you guys do instead, so if you check this in your book, it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna just have you go alternate interior angles are equal, like that, okay? And then if it was consecutive interior angles, you'd say equal 180. So the next one asks us for 2 and 7. So 2 is here, 7 is here. What kind? Yep, and they're equal also. So I can just say alternate exterior angles equal.
What's a squiggly line for then?
Right here or right? Oh, you're saying right there. That's congruent. Congruent means they're equal.
Cause on this there's like a squiggly line.
Yeah, so that just means that they're congruent, and congruent means they're the same size, same shape, so they're equal. The next one is asking us for 2 and 6. They're saying those are congruent. What kind are 2 and 6?
Corresponding.
Yep, so we can just say corresponding angles equal. Okay, the next one
That's it.
is the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180. What kind are 3 and 5? Consecutive interior. So we'd say for this one, consecutive interior equals 180, like that. Okay? Now, tomorrow we'll talk more about this, but I just want to remind you, do you guys remember vertical angles?
Yep.
Okay, they're the ones that cross from each other. We'll talk tomorrow that they're congruent. And then linear pairs are 2 angles that form a line. They add up to 180. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Enjoy a day with no homework, but you do have to be quiet and.
Wait, is it time to go?
No, we don't go till 11. What did I say? 16.
What time is it?